All right, you have to meet Steven, a DJ and artist manager who uses podcasts to promote his artists. But the catch? He uses AI to create them effortlessly, but authentically. All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. Today, I have Steven here, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, I'm a DJ. Started off DJing in middle school. After high school, we got a beat machine, started a studio in the home, all independent, working with artists for the past 30 years. Now I'm a manager managing artists. You can check me out on YouTube, Everlasting Impressions Studios, impressions with a Z at the end. And also Down by Law Management LLC.com.
So yeah, it's so awesome. Just, I love meeting all the different people using JellyPod. It's so cool. So I guess to sort of kind of set the stage, I'm curious, before you found out about JellyPod, what were you trying to accomplish? What were your goals, challenges?
Yeah, before JellyPod, I wasn't even thinking about AI podcasts. I was doing live podcasts. And I had stopped because I was doing everything as self-employed, independent LLC owner. And then I started working for an employer again. So once I started working for the employer, the time I had to do my live podcast was like zip to none. So I hadn't done the podcast and wanted to get back into doing it, and was talking with someone at the employer I have about it, and he said, why don't you check into AI podcasts? Of course, I'm a YouTube fan, so I did some research on YouTube videos on how to do the AI podcast, and JellyPod came up. So, somebody shouted you out. I can't remember the exact name, but he shouted you out, and that's how I found out about you. And I put in the request to get the early access, which, of course, back in November we spoke, and you granted me that access, and it's been amazing ever since.
That's awesome. I'm curious, you were doing podcasting, you stepped away and you wanted to get back to it. I'm curious, why was it so important to you to come back to podcasting?
Mainly information, marketing, advertising, promotion for me, my business, my artists, but also analytics sense, you need to have the content on all your, social media sites. So it was a win-win to get the information out there and have the content.
Got it. Was there a specific moment where you were like, ooh, I got to get back? Did something happen? Or maybe it was that conversation with your coworker?
Yeah, I think that's what did it was, the conversation with the coworker sparked a light bulb in my brain. I don't have to go live. I don't have to wait until I have the time to do it with AI. I can do it on my own time. And it's almost as if I don't have to use as much time and effort myself to do it, where I can utilize AI to write the script in minutes and then use your platform to generate the audio in minutes and then basically get it to the video to where we can make the video in minutes and utilize AI to be like my toolkit, so I can use whichever tool I need to make my business run more efficiently.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to thank that coworker for sharing JellyPod. And what options, I guess, did you consider in doing this? Was it just sort of immediately, you heard about JellyPod? I mean, clearly you did some research on YouTube and whatnot. Like, what options did you consider?
Yeah, first, the option, I didn't really think about, an option where I was cloning myself at first. The option came about because I was looking into creating, like, say, one or two different hosts that I could merge their videos together into one to where it would look like they were talking to each other in sort of the fashion that you were promoting it back in November and that time. So then when I heard about JellyPod, what stood out was the fact that I could clone my voice. And I wanted my podcast to be more authentic, even though it's like AI. So if I had cloned my own voice, it could sound like me, which is more authentic to my voice. And then utilizing that audio on HeyGen, I was able to clone my avatar. So my video of the podcast is authentic to how I look and how I sound. So that was the main, what I was really wanting from an AI podcast, so that it doesn't look inauthentic to myself, my brand, and what I'm representing.
Very cool. Were there certain, when you were exploring all these different tools in your head, what did success look like? Like, what was an outcome that you were kind of shooting for?
I'm an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. So I'm more of the glass is half full than half empty type of guy. So my expectations are very, limited to what I think I can accomplish with whatever tool I'm using so that the results can go above and beyond what I'm expecting. So I do that so that I'm not disappointed in what I'm trying to do. So it's a technique I use so that basically to answer your question, I was able to be blown away with my results because I never expected them to be as great as they are.
That's cool. So you came at it for, with a realistic idea, and then it just, it exceeded your expectations.
Exciting, man. I'm stoked. Yeah.
That's great. Hell yeah. Love it. So now kind of changing gears to, now you've started using JellyPod, you love voice cloning, the whole system. Can you walk us through how exactly JellyPod helps you accomplish your podcast?
I'm glad you asked that, because not only was it great that you asked me to do this, but HeyGen also, I just got off of a conversation with the owners of HeyGen. They wanted to know how I'm doing everything too, because of how consistent I've been with making the videos using your audio. So here's the workflow. Basically, the breakdown. You can use any AI you want, DeepSeek or anything out there. But I started out with ChatGPT, so I stuck with ChatGPT. So I go there to create my script, and ChatGPT already knows me as a host, DJ Universe, my persona. I'm a hip hop DJ / artist manager, and managing hip hop artists in the music industry. So basically it knows to write my script with the urban ebonics type of slang so that I can appeal to the hip hop culture fan base out there. So once I have the script written based on whatever topic I'm pushing that week, whichever, if it's I'm pushing hip hop artist, a hip hop group, or financial literacy, I'll take that script and go into JellyPod and I'll create my outline with the script that I got from ChatGPT, and then I'll have JellyPod generate a script from that script, and then I'll edit it to make sure that, everything, once I generate the audio for it, will come out with they'll say the words right and this and that, because sometimes they'll put in a website and it'll mess up. So I'll have to make sure that I put, instead of it just a dot, I'll spell it out DOT so it says dot and stuff like that. There's little things that I've learned that I can use to make it pronounce things the way that I want to. And that's just all me having the experience of doing this on a weekly basis, getting used to your platform. I love it, by the way, but there's certain things I had to get used to when, it would say the name of the podcast, I spelled it differently. So, hustle was spelled with two money symbols instead of spelled the way hustle is. So when it said it, it was saying it weird, and I had to spell it correct so that it would say it correct, even though I spell it differently. Because that's again, the way that the hip hop genre and culture is to spell things a little off than how they're really spelled, kind of like a type style. So once I have that up in there and I get everything correct and I generate the audio, the RSS feed's already going to Amazon Music and my YouTube channel, but then I take that audio and download it to take over to HeyGen, and I upload it in there, and I have my cloned avatar from HeyGen lip sync the audio from JellyPod, so it looks like I'm saying what the audio had me say on your platform. And then I take that video and upload it to YouTube and all the other platforms to promote the podcast.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a great workflow. Yeah, we've seen, we're trying our hardest to make a push into video, and that's just, it's great to hear. One thing I was curious about, so we launched this feature called Pronunciation Guide, I think in the last few weeks. Have you seen that?
Yes, I do like that. Better with the pronunciations on certain slang words and this and that. I do like the enhancements and the upgrades. Yes.
Sweet. Yeah. Because then I was just thinking about, I know exactly your podcast with the hustle, with the money signs and as the S's. Yeah. The pronunciation guide can take a word spelled like, HU, money sign, et cetera, and then swap that in for hustle in the transcript and it gets read, but then show it, the way you want it.
Right.
But very cool. I guess, the final questions that I have, what about JellyPod won you over? What about it was just this is great for me?
What really set JellyPod apart from any other platform I was looking at was the fact that it was exclusive to me because it wasn't available to the public yet. And you offered it to me early as an early, feature. And I'm like, that to me, it felt like family. It felt like, this is something a family member would do, is give you early access to something that they want to push to get your opinion about how you think the platform will work and, once it goes public. So to me, I'm very grateful for you giving me that opportunity to work with this early before it was public and, get my feedback and opinion afterwards. I'm blessed and grateful for you and what you do. Thank you. Keep doing that, man.
We're blessed and grateful for you for being, part of the early wait list, and then for, being an early user, early customer. And now, just all the things that you're doing, it's awesome. So thank you so much. I guess to close out, this is a question that we like to ask everybody. If you were to describe JellyPod to a friend in a single sentence, what would that be?
I would say if you're interested in going live with a podcast, that you should definitely give JellyPod your first shot before any other platform, because that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck or the most value for your spend.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much, Steven. Thank you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you. You too. Much appreciated. God bless.